That's what's on the boil with the family royal. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, David.
Good
Hi,
morning,
Kim.
Barry. Where do we start? Should we start with the Republic?
Well,
issue?
why not? You know, let's have a republic in my book, but we're not going to have a republic till the Queen dies. It's as simple as that.
Well, Kevin Rudd seems to want to push it almost immediately.
Well, my view is, and you know, it's only my view. I haven't got any. Nobody in his office has told me. I think he's appointed Quentin Bryce to pave the way.
The new Governor-General?
Yes, the new Governor-General, to pave the way to do away with her representing the Queen when what she's doing is representing all of us as Australians, and he would love to see her as Australia's first president.
Well, what does the Queen, I suppose, in a practical sense, what does the Queen add to Australia?
Well, very little. You know, this is going to outrage the monarchists. Well, I'm sorry about that, but what has she done for Australia? You know, she comes here every 4 or 5 years. The interest is less and less. You get more people looking at, you know, Kylie Minogue than you do with the Queen. Well, you know, Kylie is a queen of Australia.
She's the Queen of Pop, isn't she?
Yeah, she is the Queen of Pop. It's crazy. The Queen is a foreigner, and you know, she has no place in our system, I don't think. You know, an ethnic German family living in London. Oh, come on.
Oh, now we've got straight to it.
Let's talk about Princess Mary, if we must.
Well, let's, you know, the monarchists say it's going to cause a resurgence in the love of royalty. I don't think so. Mary's a gorgeous-looking girl, and she's doing a great job. You know, the Danes don't marry each other. I don't mean, you know, brothers and sisters.
Yes, they have to choose.
They have to choose outside the Danish community because they will not have the inbreeding that has beset the British royal family for generations.
Is that why they're a bit loopy-la-la?
The British or the Danes? The Danes marry Swedes or Germans or English or now Tasmanians. You know, I think Mary is paving the way for a whole lot of little Australian princesses to be, you know, to marry her little prince.
It can
Lovely
come
idea.
even from deepest, darkest Tassie.
Although
they did meet in Sydney, didn't they?
They did. In a, you know, how modern can you be? He picked her up in a bar one night.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah, I love it.
Will Prince William continue to put military duties before a marriage?
I think he will. I think his bosses have said, now look, you know, you're going to finish at the end of next year. Can you give us your time until then? You see, he and Kate are living together in an apartment in Clarence House with Charles and Camilla. It's not as though people don't know they're an item. They're a very close item. They're married now, for God's sake. Yes. The only thing is that she's not wearing the ring.
Yes. But which is what she's waiting for?
I think so. The Queen, she's fallen out with the Queen. The Queen asked her would she host a table at Ascot when the races were on, and she said no. She said, I'm not a royal. Please don't, you know, lob these... I don't know if this is the language she used, but, you know, converting it to Australian, she said, don't lob this sort of stuff on me. I'm not a member of your family yet. So, you know, I suppose the Queen stuck her nose in the air. And
that's a fairly bold stand for her to take.
Well, I think she's being very sensible. You know, she's not being pushed into it. They saw what happened to Diana when she was pushed into it. It wrecked her, it wrecked their marriage. Such as it was, you know what? That marriage lasted for 18 months, 2 years, and then fell apart.
Does Kate have the goods, do you think?
I think so.
It's a big job.
It's a big
job.
You
wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, really,
well, you wouldn't. But, you know, I think by the time William comes to the throne, hopefully never the throne of Australia, but to the throne of England, the whole fabric of the royal family will have changed. You know, all this bowing and scraping and putting them on pedestals just by accident of birth. Won't wash in a few generations.
Well, and it's interesting too. I mean, earlier this year there was the outcry because the Queen had suggested that she could no longer afford the upkeep of Buckingham Palace and was asking the Parliament to give her the funds. And I think the Times newspaper said it's time to abolish the monarchy. Is there a shift that way? It seems to me that the public is sort of more embracing the royal family.
I don't know, David. It's a... six of one, half dozen of the other. Because of the way the Queen reacted to Diana's death, she almost landed them as a republic then. The hatred and dislike of the Queen
Wasn't it extraordinary? She completely misread it, didn't she?
That's right. And Tony Blair saved her from annihilation then. You see, they live in a world that is totally cut off from reality. You know, the Queen is somebody who's never poured the water into her own bath. Somebody does it for her every morning. She's never got up and opened the curtain. Somebody does that for her.
I'd like someone to hang up my wet towel.
Oh, well, you know, there are all sorts of things that I'd like to happen, but, you know,
it ain't going to happen.
We're not
royalty. Look, we know historically that immediately before a wedding and in that period of time afterwards, we know that interest and the love affair with royals spikes during that time. So does that mean that there's a push from the palace to see Prince William hitched?
Kim, I think the palace is going to be very careful on this one. They saw how Charles and Diana destroyed each other and almost the royal family, and I think it'll be done when the palace is ready, when William's ready, when Kate's ready, and after they've done some polling around the public. You know, they're not beyond doing that sort of thing.
Really?
Oh, yes. I mean,
they poll?
They're a very professional... they're not a family, they're a business organisation.
But polling is so showbiz.
Well, hello. What else is royalty?
So let's be cynical about this, as we suggested.
Never, I'm never cynical.
Do you think they go to the extent of even planning the date of the wedding to coincide with perhaps good weather, tourism season,
holidays? Well, it'd have to be in the summer. In an English summer, you can't, you know, everybody's been to London in November, you know. It's
kind of a wedding in the driving way.
A wedding in the... No, but, you know, it's pushed towards the tourism industry. Look, people say if the Queen abdicates and the royal family's done away with in England, that tourism will drop off. That's rubbish. Look at the French. They did away with their monarchy in the 1700s. And, you know, people still go to Paris. The changing of the guard is fun and all of that. That'll still go on. The president will live in it. Same as, you know, when Quentin Bryce is living in Yarralumma as president.
Yarralumma's a very lovely property, can I tell you,
except for the blowflies.
Yeah. I've been there. It's very nice.
Will we see Camilla be called Queen?
Of course we will. This business of princess consort, that was done as a sop to the Diana lovers. You know, we could never have Camilla be Queen instead of Diana. That would, not to call her Queen would mean the British Parliament would have an Act of Parliament. They're not going to do that. Of course, she'll be Queen Camilla. And Princess Consort, that's a lot of crap. It would never happen, you know.
Don't hide what you think. What about Harry? We've forgotten
Harry. What about Harry? Poor old Harry, lovely kid. He's off to Afghanistan, I read in the papers this morning. Yes.
But that shows great strength of character, really, that he's demanded that he get sent back in.
Those boys are their mother's son. You know, they've got guts, they've got everything going for them, and you know...
Are you sure Harry belongs to Diana?
Oh, yeah. Look, you've only got to look at him.
Well, he's half her. Well, he's hers.
He's hers, but he's the living image of her brother, of Charles Spencer.
I think so too, you know.
Yeah, you know, no, I think...
One of those cads. He looks fairly similar to one of those cads.
You know, they say it's a wise man who knows his own father, so, you know... if I were a betting man, I'd put my money on... Harry being Charles's son.
Look, I think he's got a bit of spunk, and I think his girlfriend Chelsea's got more spunk.
That's right.
She seems like she's a good bird, I reckon.
And, you know, these boys are going to change the face of the monarchy. They really are. You know, they're going to drag it into reality.
They're a bit fun and a bit naughty, aren't they?
Oh, why not? You know, a couple of normal, young, good-looking blokes, you know, they just do what normal, young, good-looking blokes do around here.
Just finally, you've met the Queen.
Yes, I have.
Your impressions of her when you met her?
Oh, well, the first time I met her was 1979, when I was the only Australian journalist covering the Royal Tour of the Gulf. And I'd been in Oman interviewing the Sultan, and I flew back, and she'd been briefed on this, and on board the Britannia she had a party for us in Bahrain Harbour.
So you've been on the Britannia as well?
Oh, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, she had the press on board in Bahrain Harbour. It's like a floating English country house. It's unbelievable. Excuse me. And she said to me, I believe you've been... seeing the Sultan. I said, yes. And she said, did you see the palace? I said, yes, I did. It's new. She said, what's it like? And I said, well, how frank can I be? She can be as frank as you like. You know, when you're speaking to her one-on-one, she's good. And I said, well, do you remember years ago you went to a women's lunch in Sydney at a place called the St George Leagues Club? And she looked at me and she said, I don't know that I want you to be as frank as I suspect you're going to be, but go on. And I said, it's elevated bad taste to dizzy heights, and it costs £300 million. She said,